We can't let the world tell us how to do. I remember one time they had Steve Harvey on the show, and he was on a particular show, and he was telling the church. I tell you who had the show at the time, and we talked about it. He's saying we fall down, but we get up. Donnie McClurkin had the show at the time. Steve Harvey was his guest, and Steve was telling the church, you know, when you have some of these comedians or some of these worldly folk, and they come to church and they want to get up and say something, you ought to let them say something. You're not qualified. He's not an elder. He's not a reverend. He's not a bishop. To my knowledge, he doesn't even go to church. Why do you think that you can not even be in the church, but tell the church?
I've been preaching for a long time, and I've been saved a long time. But I have never heard anybody introduce Jesus like that ever in my life. I'm going to ask you straight off the cuff, what inspired you to go that far in introducing Jesus?
You know, actually what happened was I was in a restaurant in Los Angeles called the Grand Lux.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there with a bunch of buddies a year before this. And we were at a table and we were just, we were playing dominoes in this restaurant. And we was talking, you know, a little different, you know. You know how you talk when you're playing dominoes. It's a little different type of conversation we was having. And I was just telling all my fellas, I said, man, I had a pretty cool career. You know, I was just going over it. I was just really telling my partners I had just had a really incredible life, man, that, you know, I said, man, God done let me do some incredible stuff that I really got no business doing, you know, for all of the sins I done committed, you know what I mean? I mean, all of the, I done some real dirty, man, and I done been in some bad shots before. I made a lot of crazy decisions. And I said, in spite of all that, I've introduced everybody. I mean, man, I've introduced Barbara Streisand, Michael Jackson, Prince. I don't care who it is. I've bought President Bill Clinton out. Right. You know, I've introduced anybody that's major in the music industry, from hip-hop to pop, anywhere, right. Gospel, everybody. And I said, man, the only person I ain't ever introduced was Jesus. I was just sitting at the table. And so my boys were sitting there and they said, well, how would you do it? And I said, well, let me see. And I started tripping on it, you know, because, you know, I'm who I am. You know, I don't make no bones about it. You know, I work in the secular world. Mm-hmm. I work with sinners. I've made all my money with them. Mm-hmm. I'm one of them. You know, and so when I was thinking of how to say it, I can only say it my way. Mm-hmm. And I thought of it, I think in terms of comedy, because that's my gift. I mean, that's what he gave me. You know, your gift is the thing that you can do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. Right. To be funny is effortless to me. It's a gift. There's no school for this. Right. You can't go to college and pick this up. You can't take a class. You can go to acting class, singing class, piano class. Mm-hmm. There ain't no joke class. You know, there's nothing. This is really purely, man, yeah. God just sprinkled this one on you. Yeah. This is truly the purest gift for me. Mm-hmm. And so I was sitting up there and I said, in my way, this is how I would do it. And I thought of all this stuff he's done, and I just put it in my own fashion. I mean, he held the world's largest fish fry. Okay, we all know it where he wasn't really frying fish, but you understand? But it was some fish involved. Yeah. You know, and then I started writing down, I wrote down, you know, his mother is still headlining in the Catholic Church today. And that's true, because I used to date this girl that was Catholic, and it kind of threw me off a little bit, because we went to service one time. The first time I went to Catholic church, they had a foot washing service, and I wasn't with that because, you know, I didn't want to leave my shoes outside, because, I mean, you know, I had stole before, so back then I didn't have one pair of shoes, and I didn't know these people. I just could not understand why my shoes had to stay out there. I wanted to bring them inside. So I was doing this whole thing about the Catholic, and then I went into this whole thing about his daddy is the author of a book that's been on the bestseller list. Yeah, yeah. I started just really doing my thing. And so my bodyguard, I wrote it on a piece of paper, my bodyguard Boomerang, put it in his saddlebag. I said, that's how I do it. I said, I ought to do that one day, and I said, no. a year later, Bishop T.D. Jakes asked me to come and perform at MegaFest.
Yeah.
And that was a big moment for me because I had never worked clean before, you know, for an hour. And I was... You know, I can do 8 minutes on TV, but an hour though? And I told Bishop, because that's my man, you know, I said, Bishop, I said, hey, my man, you know, I love you, man, and I'm with all you doing down there and everything, but I don't really know if I can come down here for no hour and do this whole thing like this. I mean, just squeaky clean, man. You know, you're gonna have to let me say something. Bishop looked at me and he said, "Nee, you know good and well I can't let you say nothing." He said, "But you know something though? You can do this." He believed in me more than I could. You know? And sometimes, man, sometimes when you're trying to get your life together, you gotta have somebody believe in you a little bit. You know, sometimes it ain't enough. You know, you ain't really over there next to God like that know-how, so you kind of need somebody that's over there to say, hey, man, I think you can do this, you know. But you got to hear from somebody that don't make that walk with Christ seem impossible. That's what be happening in church a lot of times. See, a cat like me that's borderline, you get me out of here, and then, I'm just being real with you now. But see, that's the majority of people I know. It's borderline.
Exactly.
All y'all borderline. See, the truth. You got to have somebody, man, kind of believe in you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because if you make that walk seem impossible, you can't get a lot of people over there to it. And the problem so Bishop was that dude that said, I believe in you. So about 4 days before, the dude you saw in the background playing the piano, that's Ricky Smiley. I had him come to my ranch in Texas, man. I went out, because I do my best thing when I'm in the country, so I got a ranch out there. I was sitting out the ranch, I said, Rick, I got to tell these jokes in 4 nights, man, and I ain't got no hour of clean stuff. And the stuff I'm thinking about doing about the church, I need to run it by you, because you go to church all the time. So I'm going to run it by you, and you tell me if I can say it. So I was telling my jokes to Ricky, and Ricky was saying, yeah, you can say all that. He said, that's going to be close right there, but you can say that. And then I kept doing all. He said, Steve, that one a little on the edge too, but as long as you don't cuss, you'll be all right. And then I fired a couple more, and everything I said was on the edge though. But that's my mindset. You know, I can't do this gift he gave me without. I don't have to be profanity, but
that you can not even be in the church, but tell the church. No one would try that with a lawyer. No one would try that in the courtroom. No one would try that in any other profession. But people are under the impression that they can tell us how to serve the Lord, and they don't know the Lord. If Jesus doesn't live in your heart, if you hadn't been born again, you know nothing about him. And you certainly can't tell someone who's been serving the Lord. I'm 62, I'll be 63 in July. I've been serving God for 46 years.